What's up everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, you're going to watch my interview with Royden, a YouTube creator and one of the cybersecurity managers at one of the biggest financial institutions in Australia. We discuss everything about cybersecurity. We talk about certifications, university degrees, and which certifications are currently worthwhile. We also delve into one of the subdomains of cybersecurity, network security, an area I'm particularly passionate about. Additionally, we talk about AI and the impacts of AI on cybersecurity, along with many other valuable topics. So if you're interested in cybersecurity, already in the industry, or looking to break into this field, make sure to watch this video in its entirety. It was incredibly valuable for me, and I'm confident it will be the same for you. Today, we're going to talk about like cybersecurity stuff and all of that. Joining us is Royden, a seasoned professional in the field. Welcome to the show, Royden. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to this discussion with you. So pretty excited.
That's good, man. I really appreciate you taking the time of your Saturday for this. I know it's precious time you could be spending with your family, but instead you're here to share your insights and offer guidance. Yeah, that's really valuable. So to kick things off, I'm really interested in hearing about your journey. Like, could you share with us your background story?
Yeah, so I moved. So my career basically coincides with the time I moved to Australia, Melbourne. So I moved to Australia in February of 2018, and I came here to do my master's degree, and I studied networking and security as my master's. So that's where it all started for me. When it comes to an actual working journey in the industry, I started working in the help desk, which I strongly believe is probably somewhere most tech professionals should start working because you learn so much there. So I started working in the help desk, then slowly, steadily managed to work my way through to working as a network engineer, then managed to transition into network security. And I'm currently working in the network security domain as well, but it's of a more senior level position. So that's pretty much how things have evolved for me. And
Mhm.
yeah, maybe I would probably like to know sort of something about your journey as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like you as well. I started out as an IT help desk technician. I exactly worked my way around to the top. Like I transitioned to networking, network security, same like yours, and doing mostly now cybersecurity engineering stuff. And I mean, similar pathway just like yours, but and I moved here to Australia around 5 years ago.
Hmm.
But yeah, I don't have any like university background or things
Got
like
it.
that because I truly don't believe
Yeah,
like I
yeah, no,
don't.
100%. I think we can speak about that as well because I mean, even though I did my master's, I've made like I have this opinion where I feel sometimes maybe you don't need to do like your master's degree or something like that because especially in tech, like there are many certifications and free courses out there that you can study to get that experience and knowledge. But again, I didn't know at that point that maybe this could be another way of looking at it. But I agree with you. I agree with you on that point.
So let's say if we go back in time, do you believe that having a degree is going to affect someone's journey into tech or cybersecurity? Like, do you
Um,
need a degree to get started?
I would like to answer this question into two parts, or basically from two perspectives. One perspective is if you're talking about purely working in the industry. If you are speaking mainly about a job, I don't think you need a master's degree, especially out of experience that I've seen here in Australia, is that you have a good resume, you have a good number of certification courses or programs that you've done, and you have that on your resume. I think that is very valuable because at the end of the day, they see what you can do rather than what you've studied.
Mm.
But from another perspective is like let's say you're moving to Australia and you want to settle down here, you want to get your visa, you want to get your permanent residency from as a cybersecurity professional or a tech professional. I think you do need to have like a master's degree because it adds like more weightage when it comes to actually getting your visa. So yeah, if that's your plan, possibly you can look to be doing a master's, but again, you don't need to focus on like super expensive courses. You can possibly just look at one of the mid-tier, decent level universities in Australia and just try to get your 2 year masters rather than trying to get something really expensive.
Yeah, makes sense. And you mentioned being IT help desk helped you a lot. Can you elaborate on that? Like, what do you mean? Like, why do you think people should start from the bottom? Because, I mean, I've seen cases that people got into cybersecurity directly without any like background or things like that. So, what are your thoughts on that? Is it possible even?
Yeah, so I believe there are multiple ways of like getting established in a particular field, but because I did it the help desk way, I feel that maybe that's something that's better for someone. Reason being, when you're working in the help desk, I think you work on a lot of issues that are very foundation level. So,
Mhm.
right from ground zero, you basically know everything about a computer, you know everything about any device that connects to a network, or uh, pretty much even when it comes to troubleshooting user problems, you're going to that ground zero level, where later on when you're working in cybersecurity or in network security, you're facing more complex issues, more issues that are more advanced, that need more advanced troubleshooting and things like that. But what I feel is, to be able to solve those complex issues, you need to have solved these ground level issues first, because they're all related to each other in some way. And it's a good progression. You start at the basics, then you work your way through, and you keep learning along the way. That's why I believe that help desk is possibly the best position that you can start your
Yeah,
journey in tech.
I mean, so I guess let's say we have a person who is in his 40s. Do you still recommend the same path for that person? Like he in his 40s, he's doing let's another well-paid job and
Mhm.
he just wants to, let's say, break into the IT field. Do you recommend the same path for that person? Because it's going to maybe lower his current salary, you know what I mean?
I think it depends a lot upon where the person is at that point in their own life. But if we keep that context aside, I think yes, I would recommend, because I don't say that you need to work in help desk for 3 years or 4 years.
Yeah.
Experience of even a year, year and a half to two, because that's my experience in help desk. I just worked for a year. So even if you work for a year, you get used to that environment. You see how what kinds of issues users face at a normal basic level. You fix those, and you get that experience, and then possibly you can. And maybe it's even a thing to see that, do you even really like this field, especially someone who wants to
Yeah.
transition, because the most number of issues that you can get is when you're working as a help desk engineer, because at that point you're constantly troubleshooting a lot of user problems. So that'll also give an indication if you actually like the field, and whether you want to
Yeah.
continue going into it or no.
Exactly. Maybe this is not the right fit for you. You'll see, oh my God, I made a mistake. I don't want to do this anymore. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes
things
sense,
like
man.
that. I just to add on your point about, like, the mistake thing. I've seen a couple of people that get very scared to make mistakes, especially in our fields, because we know that how business continuity and things like that is so essential, that you need to have
Yeah,
all services running. And sometimes you can make a small mistake, it can take things down, and users don't have access to whatever they usually use. But I think that's part and parcel. Sorry, I deviated from that, but that was only because I thought it's
yeah,
important to
man,
speak
that's all
about
good.
this.
Yeah, I
Is
made a
that
lot of
Yeah,
mistakes in my journey as well. Like I brought network down, I
yeah,
brought firewalls, and that's part of the learning process, and it's okay.
exactly.
As long as you take responsibility for that, I think it's actually a good learning experience. So, where do you feel like where do you see the field of cybersecurity heading in the next few years? Maybe specifically in Australia, I guess.
I think cybersecurity is going to be of real importance in the next five. I mean, already we can see that, if you read the news, you can see how governments are setting aside higher budgets when it comes to the cybersecurity industry. So it's good that the Australian government and the state governments are recognizing that pushing cybersecurity as a field is so important, because cyber warfare, things like that, is a huge deal in today's time. I
Yeah,
mean, you can see so many breaches taking place around the world, and for Australia, we've seen so many as well. We've seen the Optus hack, we've seen issues with Medibank, and so many other
yeah,
companies. So I think the government is recognizing this. So in Australia, I think in the next 5 years, cybersecurity is going to boom. which is also why a lot of universities are offering more cybersecurity courses as compared to what they were when I first came here, for example. So yeah, I think there's going to be an increased demand in the industry. It's we just got to see how candidates can cope with that increasing demand.
Yes. Now you mention it, I guess we often hear about a skill shortage in cybersecurity sector, especially here in Australia.
Yeah.
Despite this, many aspiring professionals still find it challenging to land a job in this field. So why do you think this is the case, in your opinion?
I think it's got a lot to do with the fact that, as I mentioned, right, cybersecurity, you're hearing this word called cybersecurity a lot more in the last 1 to 2 years. And
Yeah.
with a lot of people, it's more about, oh, what should I study to make a good amount of money? So, there are plenty of courses out there that just touch the real high level things that, don't go in depth. So a
Yeah.
lot of students just do those courses, have that on their resume that, oh, you're basically cybersecurity professionals. But I think interviewers and companies that are interviewing, they very soon can find this out that, when a candidate is just study like a 2 month or a 3 month course just to have those skills on their resume versus a candidate who actually knows exactly what is involved in the field of cybersecurity. So I think there's a very big difference in that. Cybersecurity being a buzzword now, I think a lot of
Mhm.
students are just trying to pounce into the field without actually doing proper research and proper study
Yeah.
before trying to get a job. So I think that is one of the contributing factors to why there is a skill shortage, because maybe companies do not want to hire, especially for a field which is so critical, right? As you said, like we've bought networks down, we've bought devices down. Like you don't want to have that constantly happening at the same time, because like 100% business continuity,
Outage.
yeah, is absolutely a goal for most companies, because you can lose so much money in the time when your services are down. So I think that's probably one of the reasons. I'm not saying it is the reason, but I think probably one of the reasons why you're seeing a lot of people not getting jobs in cybersecurity.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess you are currently working as a manager in one of the biggest financial institutions in Australia. So let's say you're hiring for a role and you'll get several applications, resumes. And my question is, what is it that you're looking for in those applications that could get people interviewed? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think for me it would definitely be like, let's say if I'm interviewing for network security, because that's what I'm working in. So one thing that I'll look at is not possibly how long the candidate has worked for, because I think speaking about myself as well, I don't have a lot of experience in network security, but I think within that 2 or 3 years that I've worked, I've learned a lot. So I think that's one thing I look for. I won't see that, okay, how many years this candidate has worked, rather how much this candidate has been able to learn in whatever time they've worked. And secondly, I think a very underrated skill is problem solving. And I think that is something I pay huge attention to. So if someone has good problem solving skills, because I think you need that a lot in cybersecurity, in network security, even in help desk, solving problems, advanced basic problems is very important. Now, I think tech skills are very transferable. So if someone's lacking a bit in a certain technology or in a certain vendor for that matter, you can always teach that to them. But these things like problem solving are something that they need to know from before.
Yeah, makes sense. And like you mentioned, you're looking for experience on resume, right? So
Yeah.
that's the issue, I guess, with what's happening right now. People who are trying to break into the cybersecurity, getting relevance experience is a key problem for them.
Hmm.
So how they could get that experience if no one is giving them the chance? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
So
mean, look, really hard and tough that this is actually the case. But I think what candidates can do is that even if you're not getting, let's say, hired for a role, try doing your own projects. For example, try setting up your own labs at home. If you're looking to get into like pen testing, you can do a couple of hack the box challenges. And for that matter, there's so many websites out there that you can possibly do a lot of self study and more practical based labs. Like someone who wants to get into network security, what I'll say is build a home lab with Palo Altos, with Cisco firewalls, build a topology in like a virtual environment, set it up, perform all your different routing, security features, everything. And maybe you can have that on your resume. So, like, especially if I'm hiring, yes, experience in a production environment is very different to what you can get in a lab environment, but it at least shows that you're trying to make the most out of a situation. So do that. Maybe, try to get a lot of hands-on and practical knowledge on your own and add that on your resume.
Yeah, makes sense. So, my next question is, I guess, and you're totally right on that. Like, people can build their labs to at least gain some experience, even if it's labs. I think it's worth it. But my question is, how do you find, like, do you think certifications are important as part of someone's journey?
I think this is out of experience in Australia. I think here in Australia it is important because, as I spoke about earlier as well, is that I would rather have better certifications than a master's degree. The reason for that is I think number one, you learn a lot from certification exams, and secondly, I think when companies are hiring here, if you see most job descriptions that are looking to hire candidates in network or cybersecurity, you'll see most of them have, like, different certifications listed. I think the reason being is because it's sort of like a standard that the company knows that, okay, you know what, the fact that this student has cleared this certification means that he or she knows XYZ about the technology. So I think it's a good yardstick to show that, okay, I know this much because I've done this certification exam. So I do believe that having a couple of good certifications on your resume is going to help you in the long run.
Yeah, makes sense. And I guess I'm not sure, but when talk to people, they say, yeah, everyone's looking for a unicorn in the industry.
Hmm.
Like, the job description, they look for 2 or 3 years of experience, even for an entry level role with multiple certifications and things like that. Do you think people should still apply to those jobs, or is it just, I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think you should definitely apply. Whether now it's unfortunate that that's the trend in the industry right now, and I don't agree with it. By the way, I don't agree with the
That's
fact that
good.
you want someone with hardly 1, 2, or 3 years of experience, but then the amount of things that you're asking for is not possible. So I don't agree with that. But coming back to whether they should apply or no, I think you should definitely apply because you never know. If your resume gets picked, even if in the long run you may not make it to the final interview or actually getting the job, but it's still an experience. Even if you get a phone interview or even if you get to the first round of the interview process, it's an experience, and every experience matters. So you should definitely apply. And one thing is, do not underestimate yourselves when you see these kind of jobs. If you see something out of your reach but you believe that you can do a job there, apply with full conviction. Maybe tweak your resume a bit to fit that job description if you like that job a lot. Make a cover letter if you can, tailor to that specific company and that
Yeah.
specific role as well, because that shows the hiring manager that this person has put an extra effort to be noticed out of all the other hundreds of candidates out there. So yeah, definitely you should apply and possibly try these things, try including the words or the skills that they're looking for in the job description in your resume and in your cover letter.
Yeah, man, that's great tips actually. Thank you for that. And yes, when you say being noticed and going to extra mile to being noticed, I guess what I always suggest for people to become really active on LinkedIn, like doing networking.
Yes, 100%.
So, do you have any techniques or tips that you can share with us in regard to networking? Like, how can people use networking to get that job they want?
I think a very powerful tool is LinkedIn, which is great that you've mentioned that. I think LinkedIn goes a long way if you want to advance your career, and maybe a lot of people don't speak about it highly enough. But so usually what I like to do is, like, let's say if I make any labs or if I've learned about a new concept or something like that, I like to speak about it on LinkedIn because LinkedIn is a platform where you don't know if someone likes a post, it reaches on someone else's feed, and that way, it can possibly reach people that you never expected yourself to reach. So
Yeah.
it's a great networking tool in that sense. And when it comes to from a job perspective, I think when you're looking to get hired, what you can do is you can send connection requests to hiring managers at different companies. And there are hiring managers out there. That's their job. They're looking for candidates. So
Yeah.
they appreciate when you send them messages. Like a lot of people get scared, oh, will this person block me, or will they think that this person's trying to send me spam messages or things like that. But no, send connection requests to these hiring managers at the companies you're trying to get into, and send them your resume. Try to have a chat with them, because I think that aspect of networking goes a long way in helping you get a job, and LinkedIn is a great platform to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to share experience based on my own journey. Like when I was trying to move to Australia, I got my first job only through LinkedIn.
There you
And
go.
I got that only by messaging someone. Like
Mm,
I didn't even apply to any jobs. I was just adding people in my like the city that I'm currently in, talking to people, asking like for tips and things like that. One of them told me, "Hey, yeah, we have this role opening in our company. Would you like to come for an interview?" That's it. Like I didn't even apply to any job. So that's why, as you
exactly.
mentioned,
Yeah.
LinkedIn is a really powerful tool that we should use, I guess. And people should get out of their comfort zone. Like, what do you have to lose? And you have to reach out to people and talk to people. And I guess by doing that, you're making their job easier as well. Like they don't have to go and find for people. You know
True.
what I mean? Yeah, that's really nice, man. So let's get into the specific of your role, like
Yeah.
network security, your main area of expertise. So I guess can you explain the role of network security within the broader scope of cybersecurity?
So network security is one of the domains that falls under cybersecurity, along with many other domains like user
Yeah.
security, application security, things like that. So with network security, the main focus is around keeping your network secure. So when you talk about network, it's pretty much you're speaking about layer three, but you can possibly also include layer four in it, because you're talking about a lot of ports, and you can go up to layer 7, because most of the network security devices today that are firewalls today called as next generation firewalls. The reason why they're called as next generation is because they do things that the older firewalls could not, such as I said, they don't just operate on the network layer, but they go right up to the application layer. So yeah, I think network security, as I said, is mainly about the network level side of things. You secure the network. You got to make sure you configure the network with a security practice called as least privilege, where any user connecting to the network should be given access to only those things that they need and they absolutely need, and nothing more than that. And that principle sort of helps keep the network secure. So yeah, firewalls, use of routers, use of switches, your main networking equipment as well falls under network security. So that's pretty much at a high level what network security is.
Yeah, that's good, man. And for those interested in specializing in network security, what path would you recommend? Let's say someone has no IT background or is in IT or as a IT help desk technician. What's the path, step by step path that he or she should take?
I'll possibly answer this question from a certifications perspective, so that way, if there's any viewer out there, it'll be of more help to them. So, if let's say you have no IT background, or even if you're working in the help desk, uh, I strongly suggest that you first get to know what networking is if you want to get into network security. To do that, you can possibly do your routing and switching, which is a Cisco offered course, which is great for associate level or beginner level candidates that want to get into networking. You can also do the CompTIA Network Plus, but this one is more if you have no clue whatsoever. CCNA is possibly for those that know a bit about it but want to get more in depth. Once you get into networking, try working in there for a year, year and a half, 2 years. Practice as much as you can. Try building, real world scenarios in your lab environment, and then possibly look to get into network security by studying a bit about leading vendors in this field. So I think one vendor that I strongly suggest is Palo Alto. So, and Palo Alto has some great certifications out there as well. So you can practice a couple of Palo Alto labs in your virtual environment, and then look to give the PCNSA. This is the Palo Certified Network Security Administrator, which is a good
Yep.
beginner level certification. And it'll teach you a lot about Palo Altos and network security in general. Another certification, which is a good one, is the CompTIA Security Plus. This is if you want to get into cybersecurity, but you don't know what field you want to get into, because it covers a lot of domains. Like, it has network securities, it has
Yeah.
system security, user security, a lot of different domains under cybersecurity. And then, you can see what you like and what you want to get into. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That
what
that
uh,
makes
what do
sense.
what do you think about the CompTIA Security Plus?
Computer Security Plus, yeah, is a really good starting point for someone who is interested in cybersecurity, but
Yeah,
not specifically for network security.
yeah, no,
I don't know, yeah, but yeah, it gives you the grammar. Like I always say that Security Plus is the grammar of cybersecurity. You will learn about the acronyms, the key terms, how everything works together, and yeah, it's a good starting point. But for network security, so if I summarize it, let's say an IT help desk technician, he has to get into a network engineering role.
yeah,
That's what
that's
you're suggesting.
that is recommended for
Then
sure,
after that,
recommended.
get some vendor certification specifically for network security vendors, let's say Palo
Yeah,
Alto, Fortinet, and things like that.
yeah, 100%. I think that's look, again, there are many parts that you can follow, but I think this is something that I've done personally, and therefore I recommend it because it'll help your foundations be really strong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I did, man. Like
Yeah,
CCNA was the deciding,
exactly. Yeah.
like it really helped me with my journey. That CCNA, and it gave me a really good understanding about networks overall.
Yeah.
So I guess what are the most significant challenges currently faced in network security? Let's say at your current company, like other companies that you have worked in before, what were the challenges that you were facing?
I think, look, challenges are plenty because anything to do with like user access and the security aspect of things already becomes it has a lot of pressure associated with it because as you see so many of these breaches and things like that happening, you don't want to be at the receiving end of it. So in terms of that, there is a lot of pressure to get things right. But I think if you ask me one specific challenge, and this is not for this current company I'm working in, but the previous companies as well, and this is what I spoke previously about too, is the principle of least privilege. I
Hmm.
think when you try to follow something like that, most of the times what's going to happen is you're going to have users complaining, you're going to have systems that are not going to be working because you are trying to keep the network secure, but obviously they don't understand that because I get it. They want to constantly have access to whatever resources they believe
Access
they
to
should be getting access to.
everything.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think that's where the challenge comes in because what happens is sometimes, and this is what I learned from my manager as well, is that when you're working in such professions, there are other like stakeholders that for whom you're setting the network up. They will possibly come to you complaining that this is not working, that's not working, and most of the times what happens is candidates or people get a bit scared, and because of that they will go and open access to everything, which is not
Mm,
ideal. You rather learn how to stand up for this principle of least privilege and try to explain to them that this is what has to be achieved, and in that process maybe it may take you a while to get access to what you need to, but you need to stick to that principle rather than being pressurized by things around and then just opening 100% access and then you never know.
yeah,
And this is something what happened, I think, with the Optus breach as well. You think that later on you'll come back and close it, you'll close those ports later on, or you'll close that access later on, but that never comes. Once you
yeah.
do it, you forget about it. So I think sticking to that principle of least privilege is one of the most difficult things in network security.
And Optus learned it a hard way, like the hard way.
Yeah.
But that was not really a good experience for them. Hey, just a reminder, if you're enjoying this piece of content and finding it valuable, the only ask I have from you is to like this video and subscribe to my channel. One thing that you mentioned it was interesting, like challenges about the job itself, but what do you think about the challenges of progressing in your profession, like as a network security engineer? Because the thing is, in this field like IT or cybersecurity in general, you have to keep learning every day, every week.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that pressure, keep yourself updated?
I think, look, what you've said is spot on. I think, uh, especially in the tech field, everything every day is evolving. So you've got to constantly stay on top of that. So I think one way that I usually tend to do is that you subscribe to a couple of good tech papers or things like that. So you're in the know of what's new, what's coming, whether you should learn more about this, whether you should know more about this or no. So I think that's something you can do. You can subscribe to some good tech papers out there that'll keep you updated with whatever is new in the tech industry. But when it comes to network security itself, so I primarily work on Palos. So the thing is, I'm subscribed to Palo Alto as well. So they constantly keep sending you their new OS updates, or what are the new features they're implementing. So take a couple of minutes a day, maybe half an hour, 40 minutes. Try reading about new things in tech and see if this applies to where you want to take your career in whatever direction, and try and upskill. If that, like, there are a couple of paths that I've identified as well, possibly that I would like to go down. And one of them would be possibly going down the more management side of security, network security, cybersecurity. And look, if I'll tell you the truth, so hey, I think when you're trying to advance your career more in the management side of things, you don't really need to
Yeah.
be 100% across like every advancement that's taking place, which is possibly one of the reasons why I am also looking to get into that side of things. But again, it puts a lot of other responsibility on your shoulders, such
Yeah.
as anything happens within the network is completely your responsibility. Even if an engineer makes a mistake, you are the
It's your
one that
responsibility.
sets, yeah, because you're the one who sets the principles down, who sets the necessary guidelines down. But yeah, I think answering your question about staying updated in network security, look to surround yourself with some good tech papers, read them from time to time, see where the industry is going, and then make a conscious decision whether you want to take your career here or no.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I mean, because the reason I asked that question is there are so many things out there. Like,
Yeah,
let's take myself as an example. Like with network security, we have the network security itself. We have automation, net DevOps, like DevSecOps. Like it's all over the place. Like there are
yeah.
so many things that you could learn to get better. How do you choose? Like, how do you decide the what's the thing that you need to learn about? Like, should I do this? Should I do that? SDN. Like, how do you approach that?
I think something like that comes very naturally to someone, because I remember so before I decided that I wanted to get into network security, and when I was still in networking, SDN is something I wanted to get into. And
Mhm.
when I was studying for the CCNP, that's when I realized that I don't really like what SDN is about. But could be multiple reasons why I didn't feel that way. But
Mhm.
I think it's very natural. So, which is why I say that, keep yourself updated with whatever's going on around you. Maybe try doing a couple of, short courses here and there, which talk about different domains, like the domains you mentioned: SecOps, DevOps, cloud networking. Maybe YouTube is free. Go onto YouTube, check. There are so many YouTubers out there like yourself that make videos about different professions and what to expect within that particular job role, and see, it'll come naturally to you whether this is something that you want to further go down the path or no. What most people do is they'll see, like, okay, how much can you earn as XYZ, or how much can you earn as a cloud engineer, how much can you earn as a DevOps, and then they'll compare that, oh, you're making more money in DevOps, so maybe I should get into DevOps. But I think that's a wrong approach. Look, I know money is important, but you also should try and see what you like doing. So that's why I say, try keeping yourself aware of whatever's happening, and then it'll come naturally to you. You don't need to stress out. But yeah, do your research from time to time and just stay updated. That's what I would say.
Yeah, man, that's perfect advice. Awesome, Royden. And when you mention like different things and things like that, I guess with cloud specifically, like you mentioned cloud automation and all of that, I hear this a lot that yeah, networking is going to go away. We're not going to work on networks anymore. It's all in the cloud. Network security is not even a thing. It's all going to be in the cloud. So what are your thoughts on that?
Look, I think like this is what I was saying, right? When there are buzzwords created, most people they just follow those buzzwords and go with the flow. But the actual underlying thing is that without your core networking, without network security, these things won't exist. Because you're talking about cloud networking. At the end of the day, it still has the word networking in it because underlying the foundations of everything to do with cloud is 100% related to your core networking or core network security. So look, I mean, these fields are great because that's where the world is evolving more towards, automation, more towards single pane management devices, like not like before where you would have to log into every router, every switch to make whatever changes you wanted to make. But now we're lucky that, we have automation or we have SDN as well, where you just log into one device and you make whatever changes you want to make to thousands of devices across your network. So it's great that these fields are there, but I think I don't agree with people that say it's going to eat up into networking jobs or it's going to kill the network sector. No, I don't agree because I think your foundation needs to be really strong. And I keep stressing on this word foundation because I
Mm.
strongly feel that without the foundation, even though you learn the most latest courses or the latest buzzwords, you're possibly not going to get too far if you don't know what's happening underneath.
Yeah, it's all about the foundation, man. Definitely. So do you still recommend someone to get into networking and network security,
Yeah,
even with the changes
100%.
that's happening? So it's not going to go away, right?
No, 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 100%. No, I don't think it's going to go away. Yes, there will be changes. There will be differences in how you used to do your job to how you do your job today. But if you're a good engineer in your field and you have that knack of, constantly evolving with these kind of changes, you will automatically evolve. So you don't need to be scared about a certain field not existing in a couple of years. I don't think that's going to happen. So please, if that's a field you like, you should get into it and you will naturally find a way to grow in your career.
Yeah, makes sense, man. So how do you think emerging technologies like AI are impacting the field, like cybersecurity in general?
I think, look, there's this notion out there that, AI is going to take your jobs or like people speak about chat gpt, but I don't believe that. I think these technologies, yes, they make your job easier. As I said, it'll probably change the way you do your job in some cases. Yes, the more manual clerical administration work within tech is automated by AI, which unfortunately may possibly reduce the number of human jobs that are needed. But I think more specialized fields like networking, like security, like software engineering, like cloud networking, DevOps, etc. I think those fields are not going anywhere. Even if you have AI, that's the dawn of AI, it's just going to make things easier for you. So with, as I said, right, like with Palo Alto as well, I'll speak about network security. AI is already used across so many firewalls because they use these technologies so that they can stay on top of all the threats and day zero attacks and things like that are happening out there. It's crucial because without that, you're already setting yourself on the back foot. So I think AI and these technologies are there to help you. Do not get entirely scared that it's going to eat into your jobs. It will definitely make your job better, and you just need to learn how to evolve around it.
Yeah, and I think AI have been here for a long time, man. Like, and the rise of ChatGPT put light onto it.
Yeah.
Like even before ChatGPT, we had AI. We were using AI in
Yeah,
firewalls and all over the place, you
exactly.
know. But do
I
you
mean,
think like, yeah, go ahead.
no, what I was saying was like we've heard these things happen for now. Every year you hear something new is going to take a job or something new is going to completely kill a specific domain. I remember a couple of years ago, not a couple of years ago, maybe 5 6 years ago, it was all about SDN. It was like,
Yeah,
it was all about, if you don't know do SDN, if you don't know software defined
you're
networking,
done.
you're done because the field of networking is going to get finished. And look, I was scared at that point because I didn't know what SDN was. I was still studying. And when I actually studied SDN, I realized that, hey, okay, this is the concept that everyone's speaking about, but under it, it's all about networking. So if you want your SDN to work, you've got to make sure that whatever is under your SDN, as they call it, the underlay and the overlay, your underlay needs to be working, and that
Yep.
uses core networking principles. So I don't agree with this fact that,
Yeah, it's all about buzzwords and marketing, man. Like these
yeah.
companies, they need to sell something sometimes. Like they use these keywords to do that. And but one thing that I'm really like serious about is like ChatGPT, for instance. So
Mhm.
I was involved with a project that we had to, let's say, configure firewalls and all of that. And we needed to also create some scripts to automate
Mhm.
some of this stuff. So I know a little bit about Python, for example, but I'm not an expert on it, like Python
Yeah.
scripting. But I use ChatGPT and it really helped me a lot, like coming up with a script and saved me a lot of hours. Like I didn't have to go and study Python in a deep
Yeah.
way. So do you think someone should go and learn about prompt engineering, like how to prompt ChatGPT for your job or things like that?
I think this look, it's a really good question because it makes you think about the specific topic and how I said earlier that things like Chat GPT are here to make your life easier. So I think yes, it's good to have that kind of a knowledge, but again, I don't recommend that you 100% rely on something like that
Yeah.
because look, let's say you knew nothing about Python, okay? Let's say there's someone who knows nothing about Python, and they use chat gpt and they try to set something up, the chances are that you're going to screw things up even more than actually fix them. Like there's this very famous saying, right, which is no knowledge is better than half knowledge. So it's
Nice.
something like that. I mean, yes, I know chat gpt is out there which does amazing stuff, but yeah, you do need to know a bit about what you're trying to find out, even before you're trying to find something out. So as you said, right, you did have a little bit of Python experience and knowledge, so you knew what exactly you're looking for. And I think already when you have a certain amount of experience working in the tech field, these skills are very transferable. Like, it comes, like you'll probably read about it for 2 hours, 3 hours, and you'll automatically get a gist of what is the approach and how you need to execute it a certain way. But yeah, look, engineering is good. It's, as I said, chat gpt, as long as it helps you with your job, it helps you get to where you want to get to, but don't 100% rely on it because it could be dangerous if you just blindly turn your attention to it and rest all your hopes on it.
Yeah, you're spot on, man. And I guess maybe the thing that I'm about to say right now is not related to this conversation, but overall, relying on something like that all the time, it's going to actually make you lazy as well from
Exactly.
thinking
Yeah.
perspective. Like there was this research that was done about Google. Do is just Google it.
Yeah.
Now with ChatGPT, it's even worse, I think. And it's going to stop like developing thinking, problem solving, critical
Yeah.
thinking, I guess. Yeah,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
100%.
I mean, it's good to use it, but don't rely it, like you said.
Yeah.
That was perfect. So, I mean, we have talked a lot about technical skills, network security, and all of that. What are your thoughts on like balancing technical skills with soft skills?
I think I have a very strong opinion on this, and that is you need to have an all-around personality if you want to. Look, it's not. I'm not trying to say that you need to, or I'm not trying to put anyone or anything down, saying that, oh, you don't need to focus on your soft skills, and those that focus only on technical skills are doing it the wrong way. But out of experience, whatever little experience I have, I think you need to have a well-rounded personality when you're trying to get into the industry or job market, and any field for that matter. Soft skills goes a long way. Good communication, as I said, punctuality, something as basic as that. In cybersecurity or tech or any field, being on time, trying to get things done on time goes a really long way. So I think soft skills are as important, if not more important, as
Yeah,
important as your technical skills. So you need to focus on that as well. Try to build your overall personality from a sort of corporate perspective, I would say. Don't change yourself for it, but try to get whatever positives you can, as I said, such as punctuality, good communication skills, and things like that. And I think it'll just make you a better candidate when you're applying for a job.
yeah. And I always tell everyone that everyone can get the technical skills. They can get the certifications, they
Yeah.
can get learn the stuff. But what's going to make you unique compared to other people in the same like application pool? It's your personality, it's your soft skills, I guess.
Yeah.
How you talk, how you behave. I mean, when it comes to the interview, job interviews, like I always say, I think the decision of that like interview will be made in just in the first 5 minutes, few minutes of the interview.
Yeah,
Like if that person likes you, you have higher chance. Like, but
exactly.
if you have like bad impression, bad behavior, you're done.
Yeah, yeah, not true, 100%. And look, as I said, like I'm in nowhere saying that you have to do this a certain way, but that's just my opinion, and I think
Yeah,
you agree with it as well.
yeah,
So
exactly. No, that makes sense, man. So I guess you have a YouTube channel as well, right?
yeah, I do. I mean, I try to make videos, but I'm very not regular with it because of just
Why
so
is
much
that?
that's happened. Because look, I also tutor students. So I tutor students in networking security. I'm trying to get more into like core cybersecurity tutoring as well, which with things like digital forensics and memory analysis and stuff like that. So because I want to possibly advance my career down to be a cybersecurity manager maybe one day. So to
Oh,
do that,
nice.
yeah, and I think to do that, you need to know about the different domains of cybersecurity. So this is the way I have identified to know more about it, which is by offering, tutoring sessions to students. So I'm very busy with that. So that's the reason why I don't really get a lot of time to record videos regularly. But I try, whenever I get time or whenever there's a good topic that comes in my mind, I'll just make a video and put it out there.
So what's the goal that you're trying to achieve, like with both YouTube and your tutoring? Like, because right now you have three things going on. Your
Yeah.
role being a manager, which is huge, I mean, and YouTube channel and tutoring. Like, what are you trying to achieve?
Look, with tutoring, it's I'm looking to get two things out of it. The first thing is that I believe that a good principle or a good way of retaining knowledge is to share knowledge. So that's
Yep.
my principle. So I like teaching students because it helps keep my concepts fresh and strong in my head. And secondly, it's a good side hustle for me as well because other
Mhm.
than my job, it's a good side hustle teaching students, and I think I'm good at it, so I try to make the most out of it. And when it comes to YouTube, I think growing up, I've always felt really confident in like speaking in front of a camera or things like that. So I think YouTube
That's
is
good.
more for like like a hobby, I would say.
Ah, okay.
And I've just tried to merge the two, which is like making videos and my tech skills, merge them, and there you go, you have a tech channel. So I think that's my idea with YouTube, but that's more of a hobby. I think tutoring and working is something I take more seriously compared to YouTube.
So if let's say if you like tutoring, is that going to be a full-time job in future or just going to be a side hustle for you?
Look, you never say never. I mean, at this point, I haven't been thinking of it as a like a full-time thing, but you never know in the future. As I said, like right now, my main goal is I want to progress in the field that I'm in, possibly get into more cybersecurity management, things like that. So that's my main goal at this point. But look, tutoring will always be there and things can change, something happens in your life and you feel that, oh, this is a better option for me right now. So I have my options open. I would just say that.
That's good, man. That's good. So, what's the future for you? I guess being a cybersecurity manager, right? Is that the future you're aiming for?
Yeah, at this point, that's something I'm looking at. But we'll see how things develop over the next couple of years.
Cool, cool, man. Thank you so much for being here, man. I mean, I really appreciate it. I've learned a lot from you, and I'm hoping that I can even learn more in the future from you. And I think this session was really valuable to our subscribers. And I guess, is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience? Any recommendation, any tips, things like that?
I think there's one piece of advice that I would, because I believe most of the people that are watching this video will be cybersecurity or network security or networking professionals. And one advice which think is really important, and that is have a never say die attitude. And this is not just like obviously in life you should never have a never say die attitude, but this is more of a in your career as well. Something as simple as when you're trying to fix an issue in networking or security, most people, they hit a wall and they stop. But I
Mm,
think if you want to go to the next step, if you want to be really successful in the short span of your career, you need to have that attitude where even if you don't get an answer, you keep digging and digging, because at the end of the day, you will find the solution you're looking for. You just need to stay motivated and stay at it. And you can choose to apply this to life as well. But I think specifically to network problem solving, network security, troubleshooting, this is something you need to master.
Spot on, man. Spot on. Like that also applies to real life. Like I see people, they are really passionate about taking this free IT, cyber in general. They apply to a few jobs, they get rejected, they just stop. They say, "Oh, this is not for me. I
Yeah.
cannot do it." Like that's the thing, right? You have to keep doing it. I mean, it's volume. Like the more you do, the more you practice, you get better at it.
Yeah,
And it
100%.
applies to everything in life. Yeah, man. That's really great. Thank you so much, Royden.
Thanks, Sohail.
Appreciate
Thank
it
you.
a lot. And yeah, we'll definitely see you again, hopefully in this
Sure,
channel, man.
100%. And it was great speaking with you. I had a really good discussion. Thanks to you for getting your questions so well structured that, we could have a great conversation. So
No
thank you for
worries,
your
man.
time.
No worries, man. Thank you so much. Yes, see you in the next one.
Thanks, Sohail. See you, man. See
Okay,
ya.
so now I'm going to pause this video. Let's have a look.
Cool. Yeah, that was good. I think that was good. It was a good